Tonight, we're going to experience the complete story of Halo Reach, a tale that serves as both a beginning and an ending. This is the story of Noble Team, a group of Spartans defending a world that's already doomed. It's a story about sacrifice, duty, and fighting even when you know you can't win. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's journey back to where it all began. The beginning of the end. Our story takes place in the summer of 2552, just before the events of the first Halo game. Humanity has been at war with the Covenant, a collective of alien races bent on humanity's destruction, for nearly 3 decades. Billions have died. Entire worlds have been glassed, their surfaces burned until nothing remains but molten rock and ash. Humanity is losing this war, slowly but inevitably being pushed back toward Earth. Reach is one of humanity's most important worlds, second only to Earth itself. It's a military fortress, home to massive shipyards, training facilities, and research installations. The planet hosts billions of civilians and represents humanity's industrial and military might. If Earth is humanity's heart, Reach is its strong right arm. The story begins with a new Spartan arriving on Reach. His name is Spartan B312, but everyone calls him Noble 6, or just 6. He's being reassigned to Noble Team, an elite special operations unit, to replace a Spartan who recently died in action. 6 is what's called a hyperlethal vector, a designation shared by only one other Spartan, Master Chief. It means he's exceptionally skilled at eliminating threats, that his record is extraordinary even among Spartans. 6 arrives at a UNSC military base and meets his new commanding officer, Carter A259, leader of Noble Team. Carter is professional, focused, a born leader who puts the mission above everything else. He welcomes 6 to the team but makes it clear that they have high standards, and 6 will need to prove himself. Meeting Noble Team. Carter introduces 6 to the rest of Noble Team. First is Cat B320, Carter's second in command. She's brilliant, analytical, and serves as the team's intelligence and technology specialist. She lost her right arm in a previous mission and now has a robotic prosthetic. Cat is professional but shows hints of warmth beneath her tactical exterior. She's the one who does the planning, who sees the bigger picture and finds solutions to impossible problems. Then there's June A266, the team's sniper and scout. June is calm, patient, and observant. He speaks with a slight accent and has a dry sense of humor. As a sniper, he's used to watching and waiting, seeing things others miss. He's the team's eyes, providing overwatch and reconnaissance. Jorge-052 is the team's heavy weapons specialist. Unlike the others, Jorge is a Spartan too, the same generation as Master Chief, making him older and more experienced than his teammates who are Spartan IIS. Jorge is massive even for a Spartan, gentle-spoken but incredibly strong. He's the heart of the team, the one who shows the most emotion and connection to the people they're protecting. Jorge was born on Reach, making this world personal for him in a way it isn't for the others. Finally, there's Emil A239, the team's assault specialist. Emil is aggressive, brutal in combat, and has a skull carved into his visor. He's intense, sometimes borderline insubordinate, but undeniably effective. Where Jorge is the team's heart, Emil is its edge, the reminder that Spartans are weapons meant for war. Together, these 6 Spartans form Noble Team, and they're about to face the most important mission of their lives, even if they don't know it yet. Noble Team's first mission with 6 is supposed to be routine. A communications relay in a rural area has gone offline, and they're sent to investigate. It's likely just equipment failure or maybe some rebel activity. The human insurrection, groups of colonists fighting against UNSC control, has been active on Reach, though the Covenant War has dampened their activities considerably. The team travels to the site in a Falcon, a UNSC transport aircraft. The area is rural farmland, peaceful and quiet. It's hard to believe a war is raging across the galaxy when you see scenes like this. Jorge looks out at the landscape with obvious affection. This is his home, the world where he was born before being conscripted into the Spartan program as a child. They arrive at the relay station and find it destroyed. But this isn't rebel activity. The damage is too extensive, too precise. The technology used to destroy the relay is beyond anything human rebels possess. As they investigate, they find bodies, UNSC Army troopers killed by energy weapons. Covenant weapons. This discovery is shocking and terrifying. The Covenant isn't supposed to be here. Reach is one of the most heavily defended worlds in UNSC space. If the Covenant found Reach, if they're here now, it means the security protocols failed. It means one of humanity's most important worlds is under attack. Noble Team calls it in, but they're ordered to maintain communication silence and investigate further. Command doesn't want to cause a panic, doesn't want to broadcast that the Covenant might be on Reach until they're absolutely certain. Noble Team is to gather intelligence and report back. The investigation. Noble Team moves through the rural area, tracking the Covenant forces. They encounter patrols of grunts and jackals, minor Covenant species, but their presence confirms the worst. This isn't a scout team or a small raid. The Covenant is here in force. They find a structure, a building that the Covenant has been excavating. The aliens have been here for some time, digging, searching for something. Cat analyzes the site and realizes the Covenant has been on Reach for weeks, possibly months, hiding their presence while conducting operations beneath the surface. Inside the structure, they find Forerunner artifacts. Ancient technology left behind by the Forerunners, the precursor race that built the Halo rings. The Covenant reveres the Forerunners as gods, and they search the galaxy for Forerunner relics. They've been excavating this site, stealing artifacts and technology, all while humanity remained unaware of their presence. Noble Team fights through Covenant forces to gather data from the site. 6 proves his worth in combat, moving with efficiency and skill that impresses even these veteran Spartans. They secure the intelligence and prepare to extract, but they're ambushed by a Covenant elite, a warrior from the highest caste of Covenant society. The fight is brutal. Elites are formidable opponents, fast and strong with energy shields and advanced weapons. The team eventually kills it, but the battle demonstrates that they're facing a serious threat. These aren't just Covenant scouts. These are frontline troops, the kind deployed during full-scale invasions. The revelation. Noble Team returns to base and briefs their commanding officer, Colonel Urban Holland. The evidence is undeniable now. The Covenant is on Reach, has been here for weeks, and is conducting a major operation. Holland orders a communications blackout to prevent panic, but he also begins mobilizing UNSC forces. If the Covenant is here, war is coming to Reach. The team is given a new mission. The Covenant has been jamming long-range communications, which is how they've hidden their presence. There's a communication station in a remote mountain area that needs to be brought back online so Reach can call for reinforcements from the fleet in orbit. Noble Team is to secure the station and restore communications. They deploy to the mountain facility and find it under heavy Covenant attack. The UNSC forces defending it are being overwhelmed. Noble Team fights their way through Covenant ground forces, supported by Banshees and Phantoms, alien aircraft providing close air support. The battle is intense, waves of Covenant troops assaulting the facility. Noble Team holds the line, protecting the technicians trying to restore the communications array. Jorge mans a heavy machine gun, mowing down enemies with sustained fire. June provides sniper support, eliminating high-value targets. Emil is in close quarters, brutal and efficient. Cat coordinates their defense while working on the technical aspects herself. Carter leads from the front, his presence steadying the defenders. 6 moves between positions, plugging gaps in their defense, adapting to the changing battlefield. This is what Spartans were made for, turning the tide of impossible battles through skill and determination. Finally, Cat gets the communications array back online. The station begins broadcasting, calling for help, alerting the UNSC fleet in orbit that Reach is under attack. But as soon as the signal goes out, the team sees why the Covenant was so desperate to keep communications down. In the sky above, Covenant ships begin appearing. Not just one or two, but dozens, then hundreds. Massive warships dropping out of slip space, filling the sky with their presence. The Covenant fleet has arrived in force, and now that they know humanity is aware of their presence, they're beginning their invasion in earnest. The Battle of Reach has begun. The sight of the Covenant fleet is overwhelming. These massive ships, each 1 kilometer long, appear across Reach's sky. They begin deploying troops, landing zones opening across the planet. Ground forces pour out of dropships by the thousands. This isn't a raid or a minor incursion. This is a full planetary invasion, the kind that has destroyed countless human worlds. Noble Team watches from the communication station as the invasion unfolds. Jorge, seeing his own world under attack, is visibly affected. This is personal for him in a way the others can't fully understand. Carter orders the team to evacuate and regroup. They need to get back to headquarters and receive new orders. The flight back is harrowing. The sky is filled with Covenant ships and human fighters engaging in desperate dogfights. Anti-aircraft fire lights up the air. Explosions bloom across the landscape as the Covenant begins orbital bombardment of military targets. Reach's cities are burning. Its defenses are being tested like never before. At headquarters, Colonel Allen briefs Noble Team on the situation. It's bad. The Covenant fleet is massive, possibly the largest invasion force ever assembled. UNSC ships in orbit are engaging, but they're outnumbered. Ground forces are mobilizing across the planet, but the Covenant has the initiative and the numbers. Holland has a mission for Noble Team. ONI, the Office of Naval Intelligence, has a facility under siege. It contains classified research that absolutely cannot fall into Covenant hands. Noble Team is to evacuate the scientists and secure or destroy the research. It's a priority mission, critical to the war effort. Sword Base. The ONI facility is called Sword Base, a research installation built into a mountain. It's under heavy Covenant attack when Noble Team arrives. The base's defenses are holding but barely. Covenant forces are assaulting from multiple directions, trying to break through and access the facility's secrets. Noble Team fights their way to the facility, breaking through Covenant lines. The battle is chaotic, with UNSC Marines and Army troopers engaged in desperate combat against overwhelming Covenant numbers. Noble Team's presence turns the tide in several engagements, their Spartan abilities making them worth dozens of regular soldiers. Inside Sword Base, they meet the facility's administrator and the lead scientist. The research being conducted here is classified beyond Noble Team's clearance, but it's apparently vital to humanity's survival. The scientists have been working on something, a project that could change the course of the war. But there's no time for explanations. The Covenant is breaching the outer defenses. Noble Team needs to buy time for the evacuation. They set up defensive positions throughout the facility, preparing for the Covenant assault. The battle for Sword Base is brutal. Covenant forces pour into the facility, trying to reach the research levels. Noble Team fights room to room, corridor to corridor, holding back the tide. Jorge uses his heavy weapons to create choke points. June picks off targets from elevated positions. Emil is a whirlwind in close combat. Cat coordinates their defense while simultaneously working to secure the research data. Carter leads the defense, his tactical mind anticipating enemy movements. Six is everywhere, moving between the hottest combat zones, supporting his teammates wherever the fighting is thickest. This is his first major battle with Noble Team, and he's proving why he has his reputation. His movements are efficient, his aim precise, his decisions sound. The team is beginning to accept him not just as a replacement but as one of them. Eventually, they succeed. The research data is secured, the scientists evacuated, and the Covenant assault is repelled, at least temporarily. But everyone knows this is just a temporary victory. The Covenant will be back, in greater numbers, and eventually, even Sword Base will fall. The evacuation. As Noble Team extracts from Sword Base, the situation on Reach continues to deteriorate. Covenant forces are landing across the planet. Cities are under siege. UNSC forces are fighting desperately but being pushed back. The fleet battle in orbit is going poorly, with UNSC ships being destroyed faster than they can destroy Covenant vessels. Evacuation efforts begin for civilians. Massive transport ships start loading refugees, trying to get as many people off Reach as possible before the Covenant completely overwhelms the planet's defenses. But there aren't enough ships, and time is running out. Noble Team is reassigned to protect evacuation sites, ensuring civilians can board transports safely. They deploy to the city of New Alexandria, one of Reach's major population centers. The city is under heavy attack, Covenant forces in the streets, buildings burning, civilians fleeing in panic. The team splits up to cover more ground. Each member takes a sector of the city, protecting evacuation points and engaging Covenant forces. 6 is assigned to support various operations across the city, moving from crisis to crisis. The fighting in New Alexandria is different from open-field combat. It's urban warfare, close quarters, civilians in the line of fire. 6 helps Marines hold choke points, escorts civilian convoys to evacuation zones, and clears buildings of Covenant troops. The city is dying around him, slowly being torn apart by the invasion. During these operations, 6 encounters various UNSC personnel, each with their own story of the battle. There are army troopers who've been fighting for days without rest. Pilots flying suicide missions to buy time for evacuations. Marines making last stands to protect civilians. The courage and sacrifice of ordinary soldiers is on full display, people fighting even when they know they're losing. Noble Team regroups at a civilian evacuation site. They're exhausted, having fought continuously for hours. Carter is coordinating with command, trying to get updated orders. Jorge is helping load wounded civilians onto transports. June is providing overwatch from a nearby building. Emil is securing the perimeter. Kat is analyzing tactical data, trying to find patterns in the Covenant assault. Suddenly, without warning, a Covenant ship appears overhead. It's a cruiser, flying low over the city. The team doesn't have time to react. The ship fires a single shot, a bright lance of energy from space. The beam strikes near the evacuation site, and the shockwave knocks everyone down. When the team recovers, they realize Kat is down. She's been hit, a needle round from a Covenant weapon penetrating her shields when they were momentarily disrupted by the nearby explosion. The shot went through her head. She's dead instantly. The team is in shock. Kat, their brilliant tactician, their planner, is gone in a single moment. There was no dramatic battle, no last stand. Just a random shot in the chaos of war, and one of their own is dead. Carter checks her vitals, but there's nothing to be done. June is silent, his sniper's comm cracking for a moment. Jorge kneels beside her, this giant of a man brought low by grief. Emil's anger is palpable, his fists clenched. 6, the newest member, watches his teammates process this loss and understands that war doesn't care about skill or preparation. Sometimes people just die. But there's no time to mourn. The Covenant is still attacking, civilians are still fleeing, and the mission continues. Carter makes the call. They need to move, need to continue fighting. They'll grieve later, if there is a later. Right now, they have a duty. Noble Team leaves Cat's body behind, marking the location for later recovery, knowing it might never come. They continue their mission, one member fewer, the weight of loss added to the burden they already carry. Operation Uppercut. Despite their grief, Noble Team receives new orders from Colonel Holland. ONI has developed a plan, a desperate gamble to turn the tide of the battle. Intelligence suggests that the Covenant is using a supercarrier, a massive ship serving as a command and control center for their invasion fleet. If they can destroy this supercarrier, it might disrupt the Covenant invasion enough for UNSC forces to push them back. The plan is called Operation Uppercut, and it's audacious. They're going to use a slip space drive, the technology that allows faster-than-light travel, as a weapon. They'll deliver the drive to the supercarrier and activate it, creating a slip space rupture that will tear the ship apart from the inside. The problem is delivery. Someone needs to get the slip space drive onto the supercarrier, and that means boarding the ship in space. Noble Team volunteers for the mission. It's dangerous, likely suicidal, but if it works, it could save Reach. They prepare for the operation at a UNSC launch facility. The plan involves using a smaller Covenant corvette that was captured earlier as a delivery vehicle. They'll load the slip space drive onto the corvette, fly it up to the supercarrier, and then board the larger ship to manually install and activate the drive. Jorge takes charge of the technical aspects. As a Spartan II, he has more training in zero-gravity combat and ship systems than the Spartan II is. He explains the plan to the team, his voice heavy with the knowledge of what this mission really means. Getting the drive onto the supercarrier and activating it requires someone to stay behind, to manually trigger the device. It's a one-way trip. The team doesn't discuss who will stay. They all know. Jorge has already made the decision. This is his home, his planet, and he's willing to die to save it. Jorge's sacrifice. The mission begins with Noble Team boarding the captured Covenant corvette. They fly it toward the supercarrier, accompanied by UNSC fighters providing escort and creating a distraction. The space battle around Reach is intense, human and Covenant ships engaged in desperate combat. Explosions light up the void. Ships are torn apart by energy weapons and missiles. The corvette approaches the supercarrier, a vessel so massive it looks like a small city floating in space. Covenant fighters try to intercept, but the UNSC escorts engage them, buying Noble Team time. The corvette docks with the supercarrier, using Covenant access codes to fool the ship's security systems. Noble Team exits the corvette and enters the supercarrier. They're in zero gravity now, in the alien environment of a Covenant warship. The interior is vast, with architecture designed for species larger than humans. They fight through Covenant defenders, making their way to a critical junction where the slip space drive can be installed. Jorge and Six separate from the rest of the team to install the drive while Carter, Joan, and Emil hold the entry point. The installation is complex, requiring Jorge's technical expertise. Six provides security while Jorge works, fighting off Covenant troops who've discovered the intruders. Finally, Jorge gets the drive installed and begins the activation sequence. But there's a problem. The remote detonator is damaged, likely from the combat or the rough installation. The drive can't be triggered remotely anymore. Someone needs to stay and activate it manually. Jorge looks at Six, and the decision is made. Jorge is staying. He orders Six to get back to the corvette, to evacuate with the rest of the team. Six refuses at first, but Jorge is insistent. Someone needs to stay, and it's going to be him. This is his world, his home, and he's making sure his sacrifice counts. Jorge physically forces Six into an airlock. Through his helmet, Jorge's expression is calm, accepting. He tells Six that he's glad they met, that Six is a good soldier and will take care of the rest of the team. Then he says something that will haunt Six. Tell them to make it count. Jorge closes the airlock and triggers it, ejecting Six into space. Six watches helplessly as he drifts away from the supercarrier. Through the viewport, he can see Jorge inside, standing at the controls of the slipspace drive. Jorge activates the device. The effect is immediate and catastrophic. A slipspace rupture opens inside the supercarrier, a tear in reality that rips the massive ship apart. The supercarrier is torn into pieces, destroyed in seconds. Jorge dies instantly, vaporized by the energies unleashed. Six is recovered by the Corvette, pulled back to safety by the rest of Noble Team. They watch the supercarrier's destruction, a small moment of victory in the larger battle. They've done it. They've destroyed the Covenant command ship. Maybe this will turn the tide. Maybe Reach can be saved after all. But then they see it. More Covenant ships dropping out of slipspace. Not dozens this time. Hundreds. Thousands. The supercarrier they destroyed wasn't the invasion fleet. It was just the Vanguard. The real Covenant fleet is arriving now, so many ships they blot out the stars. The team watches in horror and disbelief. Operation Uppercut accomplished nothing. Jorge died for nothing. The supercarrier's destruction didn't stop the invasion. The Covenant fleet is so vast that losing one ship, even a supercarrier, doesn't matter. They have more than enough ships to overwhelm Reach's defenses and glass the entire planet. Carter's voice is hollow as he reports to command. The mission succeeded, but the strategic situation is hopeless. Reach is going to fall. It's not a question of if anymore, only when. The team returns to the surface in silence, each processing the loss of Jorge and the terrible knowledge that his sacrifice changed nothing. The Covenant is here in such overwhelming force that nothing humanity can do will stop them. Reach is doomed. The package. Despite the hopeless situation, UNSC forces continue fighting. Noble Team, now reduced to 4 members, receives one final mission from Colonel Holland. It's a Priority 1 assignment, critical classification. Dr. Catherine Halsey, the scientist who created the Spartan program, is at a facility beneath Sword Base. She has something, a package that needs to be delivered to the UNSC ship Pillar of Autumn, currently being prepared for launch at a nearby shipyard. What's in the package is above Noble Team's clearance, but Holland makes it clear that this is the most important mission of the war. Everything they've done, every sacrifice made, it's all been building to this moment. The package must reach the Pillar of Autumn at all costs. Noble Team deploys to Sword Base, which has been heavily damaged by continued Covenant attacks. The facility is barely holding, its defense is on the verge of collapse. The team fights their way deep underground, into sections of the base they didn't know existed. They reach Dr. Halsey's laboratory, a massive facility carved into the bedrock beneath the mountain. Halsey is there, working frantically to secure her research. She's cold, clinical, the brilliance that created the Spartans evident in everything about her. She knows all about Noble Team, has files on each of them, including 6. She knows things about them they don't know themselves. Halsey shows them the package. It's an AI, sealed in a secure container. The AI contains critical data, information vital to humanity's survival. It must reach the Pillar of Autumn and leave Reach before the planet falls. This AI will play a role in the war's outcome that Noble Team can't even imagine. The team doesn't question further. Their mission is clear, get the package to the Pillar of Autumn. They accept the container and prepare to extract, but Dr. Halsey stops them. She looks at each of them, these soldiers she helped create, and tells them that without them, humanity would already be extinct. Their sacrifices, their service, it matters more than they know. Then she says something that chills them. She tells them good luck, and she says it like a farewell, like she knows she'll never see them again. The Pillar of Autumn. Noble Team fights their way out of Sword Base with the package. The Covenant has launched a major assault on the facility, throwing everything they have at it. The team battles through overwhelming forces, protecting the AI container at all costs. They reach the surface and calm. And a Pelican for extraction, but air support is unavailable. Every UNSC aircraft is engaged in combat or destroyed. They're going to have to make their way to the shipyard on foot, fighting through kilometers of Covenant-occupied territory. The journey is brutal. Reach is burning around them. The sky is dark with smoke and Covenant ships. Cities are being glassed, the surface melted by orbital bombardment. They pass through combat zones where UNSC forces are making last stands, soldiers fighting to the death to buy time for evacuations that might never come. Carter is wounded during one engagement, taking plasma fire that burns through his armor. He's still functional, still leading, but they all know the injury is serious. He's slowing down, his movements less precise. But he refuses to stop, refuses to let it affect the mission. They finally reach a shipyard, but it's under heavy Covenant attack. The Pillar of Autumn is there, a massive warship being prepared for emergency launch. The ship needs to escape Reach before the Covenant fleet destroys it, and Noble Team's package is the reason why. But between Noble Team and the shipyard is a Covenant anti-aircraft battery, a Scarab, one of the massive four-legged walking tanks. It's laying down fire that's preventing any approach to the Pillar of Autumn. Someone needs to take it out. Carter makes a decision. He's wounded, slowing the team down, and they need to reach the ship. He's going to take out the Scarab himself. He orders the team to get to the Pillar of Autumn while he handles this. The team argues, but Carter is adamant. This is his call, his decision. He tells Emil to get Noble 6 to the shipyard. He tells June he's the only one who can carry on the fight after this. Then he gets into a Pelican dropship, badly damaged but still functional. Carter flies the Pelican directly at the Scarab, taking heavy fire. His final words over the comm are simple: "You're on your own, Noble." Carter out. The Pelican crashes into the Scarab at full speed, the explosion destroying the Covenant war machine and killing Carter instantly. The sacrifice opens a path to the shipyard, a path bought with the life of Noble Team's leader. Now there are only two. Noble 6 and Emil, the newest member and the most aggressive one, carrying the package toward the Pillar of Autumn. June has been separated, ordered by Carter before his death to escort Dr. Halsey to a secure location. It's just 6 and Emil now, sprinting toward the ship. They reach the shipyard and fight through Covenant ground forces. The Pillar of Autumn is being swarmed by enemy troops trying to board it and prevent its launch. 6 and Emil work together, their skills complementing each other. Where 6 is precise and efficient, Emil is brutal and overwhelming. They cut through Covenant forces, getting closer to the ship. They reach a landing pad where the ship's captain, Captain Keyes, is waiting. He's the one who'll take the package and escape Reach. But to allow the ship to launch, someone needs to man a mass driver, a large stationary gun that can clear the airspace of Covenant ships long enough for the Pillar of Autumn to escape. Emil volunteers immediately. This is what he does, what he's always done. He fights, aggressively and without retreat. He takes position at the mass driver and begins firing, shooting down Covenant dropships and fighters. His accuracy is incredible, each shot destroying a target. 6 heads toward Captain Keyes to deliver the package. Behind him, he can hear the mass driver firing, hear Emil's defiant shouts over the comm as he engages target after target. The last member of Noble Team besides 6 is in his element, fighting to the very end. Then the firing stops. 6 turns and sees Covenant forces overrunning Emil's position. A squad of elites has landed behind him, attacking from his blind spot. Emil fights hand-to-hand, brutal and savage, taking several elites down with him. But there are too many. An elite runs Emil through with an energy sword. Even impaled, Emil keeps fighting, pulling the elite close and stabbing it with his own knife. His last words are defiant, "I'm ready. How about you?" Then he goes still. Emil is dead, killed in close combat, dying the way he lived, fighting to the last breath. 6 is alone now. The last member of Noble Team. Everyone else is dead. Carter, Kat, Jorge, Emil, all gone. June is off the battlefield, escorting Dr. Halsey. But 6 remains, carrying the package, completing the mission. Lone Wolf. 6 reaches Captain Keyes and hands over the AI container. Keyes accepts it gravely, understanding the cost paid to deliver it. He asks 6 to come with them, to evacuate on the Pillar of Autumn. But 6 refuses. Someone needs to stay behind to operate the mass driver, to clear the airspace so the ship can launch. That someone is Noble 6. Keyes understands. He salutes 6, soldier to soldier, then heads into the Pillar of Autumn. The ship begins its launch sequence, engines powering up. 6 takes position at the mass driver and begins firing, destroying Covenant ships, creating a window for the Pillar of Autumn to escape. The ship launches, rising into the burning sky of Reach. 6 watches it go, still firing the mass driver, knowing he's made the difference. The package is away. The mission is complete. Whatever that AI contains, whatever role it will play in the war, it's because Noble Team succeeded. Because 6 succeeded. But now he's alone on a dying world, surrounded by millions of Covenant troops. The mass driver runs out of ammunition. 6 picks up his rifle and prepares to fight. This is it. His last stand. The game's final level is titled Lone Wolf, and it's unwinnable. 6 fights wave after wave of Covenant forces. There's no objective, no extraction point, no rescue coming. It's just Noble 6, alone, fighting until he can't fight anymore. He takes down dozens of enemies, then hundreds. His shields fail repeatedly, his armor is damaged, his weapons run out of ammunition. He picks up Covenant weapons and keeps fighting. The sky above is filled with Covenant ships beginning the process of glassing Reach, melting the planet's surface. 6 fights on. Even when his helmet is cracked, his visor shattered, he keeps fighting. Because that's what Spartans do. They fight even when there's no hope of victory, even when death is certain. They fight to the last breath, making every enemy pay for every inch of ground. Finally, it's too much. Too many enemies, too much damage. 6 is overwhelmed, beaten down by sheer numbers. He falls to his knees, then to the ground. Covenant troops surround him, and the screen fades to black. The last thing we hear is 6's vital signs flatlining. Noble 6 is dead, killed on Reach, the last member of Noble Team to fall. The epilogue. But the story doesn't end there. The game shows us an epilogue, jumping forward in time. Years later, after humanity has won the war, after the events of all the other Halo games have concluded, we return to Reach. The planet has been reclaimed, slowly being terraformed and rebuilt. Where once was molten glass, now grass is growing again. The planet is healing, recovering from the wounds of the Covenant invasion. In a field, we see Noble 6's helmet, cracked and weathered, half buried in the soil. It's a memorial to the fallen Spartan, a reminder of the sacrifice made here. The planet lived because Noble Team died. Humanity survived because these 6 Spartans gave everything. The epilogue text reminds us that while Reach fell, the Pillar of Autumn escaped. The AI that Noble Team died to deliver was Cortana, the same AI who would partner with Master Chief and help save humanity. Every victory in the war that followed, every world saved, every enemy defeated, it was possible because Noble Team completed their mission. Their sacrifice wasn't meaningless. Reach fell, yes. Billions died. But the package was delivered, and that made all the difference. In a very real sense, Noble Team saved humanity, even though none of them lived to see it. Reflections on Noble Team. Each member of Noble Team represents something important about the human spirit and the cost of war. Carter was duty and leadership, the commander who put the mission above everything, even his own life. Cat was intelligence and planning, the strategist who saw the bigger picture. Jorge was heart and compassion, the warrior who fought to protect his home and the people he loved. Emil was aggression and defiance, the fighter who refused to yield even in the face of certain death. June was patience and precision, the observer who survived to carry the memory of his team forward. And Noble Six was determination and sacrifice, the hero who completed the mission no matter the cost. Together, they embodied everything that makes humanity capable of standing against impossible odds. They knew they were losing. They knew Reach would fall. But they fought anyway, because that's what soldiers do. They complete the mission, protect the innocent, and buy time for others to survive. Halo Reach is a tragedy, a story where the heroes die and the world burns. But it's also a story about why fighting matters even when you know you're going to lose. The Spartans of Noble Team didn't save Reach. They couldn't. The Covenant fleet was too large, too powerful. The planet's fate was sealed the moment that fleet arrived. But they saved something more important than territory. They saved hope. The AI they delivered, Cortana, would go on to help Master Chief discover the Halo rings, stop the Covenant, and ultimately save humanity from extinction. The sacrifice of Noble Team rippled forward through time, affecting events they would never witness, saving people they would never meet. Every soldier who fights in a losing battle faces this question: does it matter? If we can't win, why fight? Noble Team's story answers that question. It matters because every moment bought is a moment someone else can use. Every enemy delayed is one that isn't threatening someone else. Every mission completed, even at terrible cost, might be the one that changes everything. The Spartans of Noble Team were created as weapons, trained from childhood to be perfect soldiers. They were meant to be tools, instruments of war without personality or choice. But in their final hours, each of them made choices that showed they were more than tools. They were people, with courage and compassion and the will to sacrifice themselves for others. The wider war. The Battle of Reach was the Covenant's greatest victory and, ultimately, the beginning of their downfall. They destroyed one of humanity's most important worlds, killed billions, and demonstrated their overwhelming military superiority. But in doing so, they pushed humanity to the brink, forced them into a corner where the only option was total commitment to survival. The Pillar of Autumn escaped Reach and jumped to random coordinates, trying to avoid leading the Covenant to Earth. Those coordinates led to Installation 04, the first Halo ring, and the events of the first Halo game. Master Chief, awakened from cryosleep with Cortana as his AI companion, would go on to destroy that Halo ring and begin unraveling the Covenant's religious foundation. None of that would have been possible without Noble Team. Without their sacrifice, Cortana would have been captured or destroyed on Reach. The Pillar of Autumn wouldn't have escaped. Master Chief might have died without ever waking from cryosleep. The entire course of the war would have been different, and humanity might have gone extinct. So when we remember Reach, when we think about the billions who died and the planet that burned, we also remember that their sacrifice mattered. Noble Team's mission, completed at terrible cost, was the first step on the path to humanity's survival. The Last Spartan. Noble Six's final stand is particularly significant. After everyone else was dead, after the mission was complete, Six could have tried to hide or flee. The Pillar of Autumn was gone, the package delivered. There was no tactical reason to stay and fight. But Six did anyway, standing alone against an army because that's what Spartans do. That final fight, that unwinnable last stand, represents something important about the human spirit. Sometimes we fight not because we can win, but because fighting is the right thing to do. Sometimes we stand our ground not because we'll survive, but because someone needs to make a stand, needs to show that we don't yield, don't surrender, don't go quietly into the darkness. Noble Six died alone on a burning world, surrounded by enemies, with no hope of rescue or survival. But that death had meaning. It represented every soldier who ever made a last stand, everyone who fought knowing they would lose, everyone who sacrificed themselves so others could live. Six's death was personal, but it was also universal, a symbol of every noble sacrifice made in the name of protecting others. Years after the war, when Reach was being rebuilt, they placed monuments to the fallen. Noble Team has a place among those monuments, 6 names among billions who died defending the planet. But unlike most of those billions, Noble Team's names are remembered specifically, their sacrifice documented and honored. June survived the battle and went on to recruit and train new Spartans, building the program that would create the next generation of defenders. He carried the memory of his team with him, told their story, ensured they wouldn't be forgotten. Through him, the legacy of Noble Team lived on. The children who grew up on the rebuilt Reach learned about Noble Team and their history lessons. They learned about the Spartans who stood against impossible odds, who completed their mission despite knowing they wouldn't survive. They learned that courage isn't about fearlessness or invulnerability. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you're afraid, even when you know the cost. The package's journey. The AI that Noble Team died to protect, Cortana, went on to have an incredible journey of her own. She partnered with Master Chief, the only other Spartan designated as hyperlethal like Noble Six. Together, they destroyed Halo Rings, fought the Flood, stopped the Covenant, and ultimately saved humanity from extinction. Cortana never knew the faces of the Spartans who died to deliver her to the Pillar of Autumn. She was sealed in her container during the final battle, unaware of the sacrifice being made. But in her later adventures with Master Chief, and all the times she helped save humanity, she was fulfilling the purpose that Noble Team died for. In a very real sense, every life Cortana saved, every victory she helped achieve, was a continuation of Noble Team's mission. They passed the torch to her, and she carried it forward, running a race they couldn't finish but had made possible. The cost of victory. Halo Reach reminds us that victory often comes at terrible cost. The war against the Covenant was eventually won, humanity survived and eventually thrived, but the price was almost unimaginable. Entire worlds destroyed. Billions of people dead. Countless soldiers giving their lives in battles large and small. Noble Team was just one squad among thousands. Their sacrifice was just one among millions. But their story represents all those sacrifices, all those people who gave everything so that humanity could have a future. Every Marine who made a last stand. Every pilot who flew into overwhelming fire. Every civilian who stayed behind to help others evacuate. All of them were part of the same story, the story of humanity refusing to surrender even in the face of extinction. The rebuilt Reach, with its growing grass and healing landscape, is a testament to the fact that sacrifice can lead to renewal. What was destroyed can be rebuilt. What was lost can be remembered and honored. The dead can't come back, but the world they died for can live on. Final thoughts. Halo Reach is a masterpiece of tragic storytelling, a game that knows from the beginning how it will end but tells the story anyway because the journey matters. We know Reach will fall. The game tells us this in the very first scene. But we play anyway, we fight anyway, because the fight itself has meaning. Noble Team's story is one of duty, sacrifice, and the bonds formed in combat. They were soldiers, yes, weapons created and trained for war. But they were also people who cared about each other, who fought for things they believed in, who faced death with courage and dignity. Carter led until the very end, dying to create an opening for his team. Kat planned and strategized until a single unlucky shot ended her life. Jorge gave everything to save his own world, dying with the hope that his sacrifice mattered. Emil fought with fury and defiance, going down swinging as he would have wanted. June survived to honor their memory and continue their legacy. And Noble Six stood alone in the end, fighting to the last breath, making every enemy pay for every second. Their story ends in death and defeat. Reach falls. The Covenant wins this battle. But because of Noble Team, humanity wins the war. The package is delivered. The Pillar of Autumn escapes. Master Chief and Cortana begin their journey. And eventually, after years of struggle and sacrifice, humanity survives. So when we remember Reach, we remember not just the tragedy but the triumph. Not just what was lost but what was saved. We remember 6 Spartans who did their duty, completed their mission, and died so that billions they would never meet could live. Their sacrifice mattered. Their fight mattered. They mattered. And that's the message of Halo Reach, that even in the darkest moments, even facing certain defeat, our choices matter, our actions matter, we matter. Closing. And that's the complete story of Halo Reach, from the first mission to the last stand. It's a tale of heroes who knew they couldn't win but fought anyway. Of soldiers who gave everything for a mission they would never see completed. Of sacrifice that echoed forward through time to shape the future of humanity. Thank you for listening to the story of Noble Team. Remember them, remember their sacrifice, and remember that even in our darkest moments, we have the capacity for courage, for compassion, for standing firm against impossible odds. Rest well, and remember Reach. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4.5